The sun rose slowly over London on that special morning in May. The city had been preparing for this day for months. People from all over the world had traveled to see King Charles become the new ruler of Britain. The streets were already full of excited crowds even though it was still early. Everyone wanted the best spot to see the royal family arrive at. Westminster Abbey. Sarah Mitchell was one of those people waiting in the crowd. She had come from Scotland with her teenage daughter, Emma. They had been standing on the street since 4 in the morning. Sarah held her phone tightly in her hand. She wanted to take the perfect picture when Prince William arrived. Emma was busy checking her social media apps. She had promised her friends back home that she would share everything live on her Instagram story. The atmosphere in London was electric. Red, white, and blue flags hung from every building. Street vendors sold royal souvenirs to tourists. Police officers stood at every corner, making sure everyone stayed safe. Television crews had set up their cameras in the best positions. Reporters from countries around the world were getting ready to broadcast this historic moment to millions of viewers. Westminster Abbey looked magnificent that morning. The ancient building had seen many royal ceremonies over the centuries. Workers had spent weeks decorating it for this special day. Beautiful flowers covered the entrance. Golden decorations sparkled in the morning light. The Abbey bells had been ringing since dawn, announcing that this was no ordinary day. Inside, the Abbey guests were taking their seats. Prime ministers from different countries sat next to movie stars and business leaders. Everyone was dressed in their finest clothes. The women wore elegant dresses and fancy hats. The men looked smart in their dark suits and military uniforms. Everyone was talking quietly and looking around at the beautiful decorations. The royal family was getting ready at Buckingham Palace. Prince William stood in front of a large mirror in his private room. His valet was making sure every detail of his outfit was perfect. William had been thinking about this day for years. He knew that millions of people would be watching him. He wanted to look right for such an important moment in British history. His wife Catherine was in the next room getting ready with their children. The palace was busy with activity. Servants were running around making sure everything was perfect. Security teams were checking every detail of the route to the Abbey. The golden state coach that would carry the royal family was polished until it shined like new. Meanwhile, the crowds outside were getting bigger and bigger. People had brought camping chairs and picnic baskets. Families with small children sat on blankets eating sandwiches. Teenagers took selfies with the Abbey in the background. Everyone was excited and happy to be part of this historic day. Television cameras were positioned all along the route from Buckingham Palace to Westminster Abbey. The BBC had teams of reporters ready to describe every moment. Camera operators checked their equipment one more time. Sound engineers tested their microphones. Everyone wanted to make sure they captured this day perfectly for people watching at home. Social media was already buzzing with excitement. People were posting pictures of themselves in the crowds. They were sharing videos of the decorations and the preparations. Twitter was full of messages about the coronation. Facebook groups dedicated to the royal family were very active. Instagram was flooded with photos of people getting ready to watch the ceremony. News websites were updating their pages every few minutes. Royal experts were giving interviews about what to expect. Fashion writers were making predictions about what the royal family would wear. Everyone had an opinion about this historic day. The atmosphere was building minute by minute. Street musicians played patriotic songs, choirs sang hymns. The sound of excitement filled the air. Police horses walked slowly through the crowds. Their riders smiled and waved at the children who pointed at them with wonder. Royal fans had been planning for this day for months. Some had made special outfits in red, white, and blue colors. Others had brought homemade signs with messages for the royal family. Professional photographers mixed with ordinary people, all trying to get the best pictures. The morning air was crisp and clear. The weather forecast had predicted a beautiful day. This made everyone even more excited. A rainy Coronation Day would have been disappointing. But the sun was shining, and the sky was blue with just a few white clouds. Inside Westminster Abbey, the final preparations were being made. The Archbishop of Canterbury was reviewing his notes. The choir was practicing their songs one last time. The organist was testing the magnificent organ. Every detail had to be perfect for this ceremony that would be remembered for generations. Back at Buckingham Palace, Prince William was almost ready. He looked at himself in the mirror one more time. His reflection showed a man who was prepared for the responsibility that lay ahead. He thought about his grandmother, Queen Elizabeth, and how proud she would have been to see this day. He thought about his father, King Charles, and the years of preparation that had led to this moment. The palace staff were lined up to see the royal family leave. Many of them had worked at the palace for decades. They had seen Prince William grow from a young boy into the man he was today. This was an emotional moment for all of them. Outside the palace gates, crowds were gathering. Police barriers kept them at a safe distance, but they could still see the golden coach when it appeared. Everyone had their phones ready. They wanted to capture the moment when Prince William emerged from the palace. The excitement was building to a crescendo. Radio stations were broadcasting live from the scene. Newspaper reporters were writing their stories in real time. The whole world seemed to be watching London that morning. Prince William took a deep breath and walked toward the door. His family was waiting for him. The golden coach was ready outside. The crowds were waiting. The cameras were rolling. History was about to be made. And Prince William was about to step into the spotlight in a way that would surprise and delight millions of people around the world. The stage was set for a moment that would be talked about for years to come. A moment that would show the world a new side of the British royal family. A moment that would prove that tradition and modernity could work together beautifully. The anticipation was almost unbearable as London held its breath waiting for Prince William to appear. The golden state coach rolled slowly through the streets of London. Inside sat the royal family dressed in their finest clothes for this historic day. The crowds lining the streets were cheering and waving flags. Everyone was trying to get a glimpse of the future king and his family as they made their way to Westminster Abbey. Television cameras followed the coach from every angle. Millions of people around the world were watching their screens waiting to see Prince William step out at the Abbey. The commentators were talking excitedly about what they expected to see. Royal fashion experts had been making predictions for weeks about what the prince would wear. Sarah Mitchell pushed forward in the crowd, trying to get a better view. Her daughter Emma was holding her phone high above her head, ready to record everything. The excitement in the air was incredible. People were shouting and cheering as the golden coach got closer to Westminster Abbey. The coach finally arrived at the Abbey and came to a stop. The crowd fell silent for a moment. Everyone was holding their breath, waiting to see what would happen next. Palace guards in their red uniforms stood at attention. The Abbey doors were wide open, ready to welcome the royal family. Then the coach door opened and Prince William stepped out. The crowd gasped in amazement. Nobody had expected to see him looking like this. Instead of the heavy traditional robes that everyone thought he would wear, William appeared in the most stunning military uniform anyone had ever seen. The uniform was made of deep, navy blue fabric that seemed to glow in the morning sunlight. Every thread was perfectly placed. The tailoring was so precise that it looked like the uniform had been painted onto his body. The fabric moved with him as he walked, creating an elegant silhouette that made him look both powerful and graceful. Gold embroidery covered parts of the uniform in intricate patterns. The gold thread caught the light and sparkled like tiny stars. The embroidery was not just decoration, but told stories of British military history. Each pattern had meaning and represented different aspects of the armed forces that William had served in. Across his chest were rows of medals and honors that he had earned during his military service. Each medal was polished to perfection and positioned exactly where it should be. The medals created a rainbow of colors against the dark blue fabric. Some were silver, some were gold, and others had ribbons in bright colors. On his shoulder were ceremonial cords and braids that showed his rank and position. These were made of the finest materials and twisted into perfect spirals. They added texture and dimension to the uniform, making it even more impressive to look at. Ceremonial sword hung at his side in a beautiful scabbard decorated with precious stones. The sword was not just for show, but was a real weapon that had been used by British royalty for generations. The handle was wrapped in gold wire, and the blade was sharp and perfectly balanced. His boots were polished to such a shine that they reflected the light like mirrors. They were made of the finest leather and fitted perfectly to his feet. Even the laces were special, made of silk and tied in a military style that showed attention to every detail. But what really made the uniform special was how it fit Prince William perfectly. The shoulders were broad and strong. The waist was fitted but not tight. The length was exactly right. Every measurement had been taken with care to create a uniform that would make him look like the future king he was meant to be. The crowd was stunned into silence for a few seconds. Then someone shouted, "He looks amazing," and suddenly everyone was cheering and clapping louder than before. Phones and cameras were clicking and flashing from every direction. Everyone wanted to capture this incredible moment. Emma grabbed her mother's arm and whispered, "Mom, he looks like a movie star." Sarah was too busy taking pictures to answer, but she nodded in agreement. She had never seen anyone look so elegant and impressive at the same time. The uniform was clearly designed to honor tradition, while also showing that the royal family could be modern and forward-thinking. It was not the dusty old-fashioned clothing that some people expected. Instead, it was fresh and contemporary, while still respecting the history and customs of the monarchy. William walked with confidence and dignity toward the Abbey entrance. His posture was perfect, and his steps were measured and purposeful. The uniform moved with him naturally, showing that he was comfortable and confident in what he was wearing. Television commentators were struggling to find words to describe what they were seeing. One royal expert said, "This is absolutely magnificent. I have never seen anything like it." Another commentator added, "He has managed to look both traditional and modern at the same time." The cameras zoomed in to show every detail of the uniform. Viewers at home could see the intricate stitching and the way the gold embroidery was woven into the fabric. They could see how the medals were arranged in perfect rows, and how the ceremonial sword hung exactly where it should. Fashion experts watching on television immediately started analyzing every aspect of the outfit. They talked about the choice of navy blue and how it represented both the Royal Navy and the stability of the monarchy. They discussed the gold embroidery and how it connected to centuries of royal tradition. Military historians were also impressed by the uniform. They recognized many of the symbols and decorations that honored different branches of the British Armed Forces. The uniform was not just beautiful, but also told the story of William's own service and the military history of his family. As William reached the Abbey steps, he paused for a moment and looked back at the crowd. The morning sun was behind him, creating a halo effect around his silhouette. At that moment, he looked every inch the future king that he was born to be. The uniform seemed to transform him before everyone's eyes. This was not just Prince William, the father and husband that people had come to know over the years. This was Prince William, the heir to the throne, ready to take on the responsibilities that came with his position. The crowd continued to cheer as he disappeared into the Abbey. But the image of him in that incredible uniform was already burned into the memory of everyone who saw it. People were already talking about it and sharing their photos and videos. This was clearly going to be a moment that would be remembered for years to come. Prince William had made a statement with his choice of clothing. He had shown that the royal family could honor the past while embracing the future. And he had done it all while looking absolutely magnificent. Emma Mitchell could not believe what she had just witnessed. Her fingers were shaking as she quickly opened her phone to share what she had seen. She had promised her friends back in Scotland that she would show them everything live. But nothing could have prepared her for Prince William's incredible appearance. She opened Instagram first and started recording a video story. "Oh my God, you guys," she whispered into her phone. "Prince William just stepped out, and he looks absolutely amazing. I have never seen anything like this uniform in my entire life." Her voice was full of excitement as she tried to capture the moment with her camera. At the same time, thousands of other people in the crowd were doing exactly the same thing. Everyone had their phones out taking pictures and videos. The clicking and flashing of cameras created a symphony of digital sounds. People were uploading content to every social media platform they could think of. Within seconds of Prince William's appearance, the first photos started appearing on Twitter. A photographer named James Chun, who was standing near the Abbey steps, managed to get a perfect shot of the prince in his stunning uniform. He quickly typed a message, "Prince William looks absolutely incredible at the coronation," and hit send. Response was immediate and overwhelming. Within minutes, his tweet had hundreds of likes and retweets. People were sharing it with their own comments. "This is the most handsome I have ever seen him look," wrote one user. "That uniform is pure perfection," added another. On Instagram, fashion blogger Sophie Williams was frantically taking screenshots of the live television coverage. She had over 200,000 followers who were waiting to see her reaction to the royal outfits. She quickly posted a close-up photo of Prince William with the caption, "When I tell you my jaw dropped to the floor, I am not exaggerating. This man is serving looks today." Her post immediately started getting comments from her followers. "He looks like he stepped out of a fairy tale," wrote one fan. "I need to find a man who can dress like this," joked another. "The tailoring is absolutely incredible," commented a fashion student. TikTok was exploding with content about Prince William's appearance. Young people were making quick videos analyzing every detail of his uniform. A teenager named Marcus Johnson posted a video where he pointed out all the different medals and decorations. "Look at all these details," he said excitedly. "Every single piece has been placed perfectly." His TikTok video got thousands of views within the first hour. Other users started making their own videos responding to his content. Some were trying to identify the specific medals he was wearing. Others were talking about the significance of the navy blue color choice. Facebook was filled with people sharing photos and expressing their amazement. Parents were tagging their children who lived in other countries. "You have to see how handsome Prince William looks today," wrote one mother to her daughter studying abroad. "I wish you could have been here to see this in person." Royal fan groups on Facebook were particularly active. Members were sharing dozens of photos from different angles. They were analyzing every detail and comparing his look to previous royal appearances. The conversation was moving so fast that new posts were appearing every few seconds. Meanwhile, professional photographers and journalists were working frantically to get their content online. News websites were updating their pages with new photos as quickly as they could process them. The demand for images was incredible. Everyone wanted to see more pictures of Prince William in his magnificent uniform. Celebrity fashion accounts were among the first to analyze the look professionally. A famous stylist named Antonio Rodriguez posted a detailed breakdown on his Instagram account. "The choice of navy blue is genius," he wrote. "It represents both tradition and modernity. The fit is absolutely perfect, and the accessories are chosen with incredible taste." His post was shared by major fashion magazines and got thousands of comments from fashion industry professionals. Designers were praising the unknown creator of the uniform. "Whoever designed this deserves every award in fashion," commented a well-known British designer. Twitter hashtags were trending worldwide within 30 minutes of Prince William's appearance. The hashtag Prince William style was being used thousands of times per minute. Coronation fashion was also trending as people shared photos of all the royal family members. But Prince William was clearly the star of the show. International news outlets were picking up the social media buzz and turning it into news stories. CNN posted an article titled, "Prince William's coronation look breaks the internet." The article included screenshots from various social media platforms showing the incredible response. Fashion magazines were working overtime to put together emergency articles about the look. Vogue quickly published a piece analyzing every element of the uniform. Elle magazine focused on how the look represented a new era for royal fashion. Harper's Bazaar interviewed fashion historians about the significance of the outfit. YouTube creators were uploading reaction videos as fast as they could edit them. A popular royal family channel posted a video titled, "Prince William just served the look of the century." The video got hundreds of thousands of views in its first few hours online. Even people who normally did not care about royal family news were getting caught up in the excitement. The uniform was so impressive that it was attracting attention from people who had never posted about royalty before. Fashion lovers, music fans, and even sports enthusiasts were sharing photos and expressing their admiration. Memes were starting to appear as creative social media users found ways to express their amazement through humor. One popular meme showed a photo of Prince William with the text, "When you have to attend a royal coronation at 10, but save the world at 11. Another meme compared him to various movie heroes and fictional princes. The social media response was unlike anything anyone had seen for a royal event. Previous royal weddings and ceremonies had generated excitement online, but nothing like this. The combination of Prince William's stunning appearance and the power of modern social media created a perfect storm of viral content. International fashion weeks and red carpet events rarely generated this level of immediate response. People were genuinely amazed by what they were seeing. The uniform had struck a perfect balance between tradition and contemporary style that appealed to people across all age groups and backgrounds. As the minutes passed, the excitement continued to build rather than fade away. More photos were being shared from different angles and different moments. Professional photographers were uploading high-quality images that showed even more detail than the initial crowd photos and screenshots. The world had truly stopped to admire Prince William's incredible coronation appearance. Social media had become a global conversation about royal fashion and style. And this was only the beginning of what would become one of the most talked about fashion moments in royal history. Inside Westminster Abbey, the atmosphere was electric as Prince William made his entrance. The ancient building had witnessed many royal ceremonies over the centuries, but nothing quite like the reaction his appearance was creating today. Guests, who had been sitting quietly in their seats, suddenly started whispering excitedly to each other about his incredible uniform. The television cameras inside the Abbey immediately focused on Prince William as he walked down the long aisle. Camera operators had to adjust their shots because the uniform was so visually striking that it demanded different angles to capture its full beauty. The lighting inside the Abbey made the gold embroidery sparkle like precious jewels, creating a magical effect that looked almost supernatural on screen. Director Michael Thompson was sitting in the BBC television control room, watching multiple camera feeds at once. He had been directing royal ceremonies for over 20 years, but had never seen anything like this. "Camera 3, get a close-up of those medals," he called out to his team. "Camera 1, follow him as he walks. I want to see how that uniform moves." The television audience at home was mesmerized by what they were seeing. Viewers who had tuned in expecting a traditional ceremony were getting something much more spectacular. The uniform looked even more impressive under the Abbey's ancient lights than it had outside in the natural sunlight. Fashion expert Diana Sterling was providing live commentary for the BBC. She was struggling to find words to describe what she was witnessing. "This is absolutely extraordinary," she said into her microphone. "Prince William has completely redefined what royal ceremonial dress can look like. The craftsmanship is beyond anything I have ever seen." Social media was continuing to explode as people watched the ceremony on their televisions while simultaneously posting about it online. The hashtag Prince William style was now trending in over 50 countries. People were sharing screenshots from the television coverage, and the quality of these images was much better than the crowd. Photos from outside. Royal historian Professor James Mitchell was watching from his home in Cambridge. He had written several books about royal ceremonies and fashion over the centuries. He immediately called his publisher to discuss writing an emergency article about what he was witnessing. "This uniform represents a pivotal moment in royal history," he told his editor. "It shows how the monarchy can evolve while still respecting tradition." The ceremony continued, but many viewers found themselves more interested in Prince William's appearance than in the actual coronation ritual. Television ratings were higher than anyone had predicted. People who had not planned to watch were tuning in after seeing the social media posts about his stunning uniform. Celebrity fashion stylist Maria Santos was live tweeting her analysis of the uniform throughout the ceremony. "The way the fabric drapes is perfection," she wrote. "Every line of this uniform has been calculated to create the most flattering silhouette possible. This is tailoring at its absolute finest." Her tweets were being retweeted thousands of times. Fashion students around the world were taking screenshots of her commentary to study later. Design schools were already planning to use this uniform as a case study in their classes about formal menswear and ceremonial dress. International television networks were scrambling to provide their own analysis. CNN brought in fashion expert Robert Chun to discuss the uniform live on air. "What we are seeing today will influence men's formal wear for years to come," he explained. "This uniform proves that traditional ceremonial dress does not have to be boring or outdated." The ceremony's most dramatic moment came when Prince William knelt before his father, King Charles. The television cameras captured the uniform from every angle as he moved into position. The fabric flowed gracefully with his movement, and the metals caught the light, creating a dazzling display. Viewers at home were taking screenshots of this moment faster than social media platforms could handle the traffic. Instagram and Twitter were experiencing slowdowns because of the massive amount of content being uploaded. TikTok videos were being created and shared at record speed. A professional photographer named Lisa Park was covering the ceremony for a major magazine. She had photographed countless celebrities and fashion events, but was amazed by how photogenic Prince William looked in his uniform. "Every angle is perfect," she told her assistant. "I have never seen anyone wear formal wear this well." The uniform was clearly designed with television and photography in mind. The colors worked perfectly under the Abbey's lighting. The proportions looked ideal on camera. Even the positioning of the medals and decorations seemed calculated to create the most visually appealing effect possible. Fashion bloggers around the world were writing articles in real time as they watched the ceremony. One popular blogger wrote, "Prince William is giving us a masterclass in how to wear formal ceremonial dress. The confidence he shows in this uniform is as impressive as the uniform itself." The ceremony reached its climax, but the conversation about Prince William's uniform continued to dominate social media. Professional fashion photographers were analyzing the images and praising the unknown designer who had created this masterpiece. "This uniform will be studied in fashion schools for decades," predicted one well-known fashion critic. Behind the scenes, television producers were already planning special programs about the uniform. Fashion documentaries were being commissioned. Museums were expressing interest in eventually displaying the uniform for public viewing. The international fashion industry was taking notice in a way that rarely happened with royal fashion. Major fashion houses were already sketching designs inspired by what they had seen. The influence of Prince William's coronation look was spreading beyond social media into the professional fashion world. As the ceremony concluded, Prince William stood to face the congregation. The uniform looked just as perfect at the end of the long ceremony as it had at the beginning. Not a single thread was out of place. The tailoring had been so expertly done that it maintained its shape and elegance throughout the entire event. Television. Audiences around the world were reluctant to turn off their sets. Many people rewound their recordings to watch Prince William's entrance again. The uniform had created a moment of television history that people wanted to experience multiple times. The ceremony was over, but the conversation about Prince William's stunning appearance was just beginning. Fashion magazines were already planning special issues. Social media was still buzzing with analysis and praise. The uniform had accomplished something remarkable by making a traditional ceremony feel fresh and exciting. This was clearly going to be remembered as one of the greatest fashion moments in royal history. Prince William had not just attended his father's coronation. He had created a cultural moment that would be talked about for generations to come. 3 weeks after the coronation, the world was still talking about Prince William's incredible uniform. What had started as a single moment outside Westminster Abbey had grown into something much bigger than anyone could have imagined. The impact of his appearance was being felt in fashion capitals around the world and in the lives of ordinary people who had been inspired by what they saw. In London, fashion designer Marcus Chun was working late in his studio in Shoreditch. His phone had not stopped ringing since the coronation. Clients were asking him to create military-inspired formal wear for their upcoming events. "I need something that makes me look like Prince William did at the coronation," was a request he heard. Multiple times every day, Marcus had been designing men's formal wear for 15 years, but had never seen demand like this. He was sketching new designs based on the elements that had made Prince William's uniform so striking. The navy blue color, the gold detailing, the perfect fit, and the confident way it had been worn were all elements he was trying to capture in his new collection. Across the Atlantic in New York, fashion house directors were holding emergency meetings about their upcoming collections. At Brooks Brothers, the design team was working on a new line of military-inspired formal wear. Head designer Sarah Williams told her team, "We need to capture the elegance and tradition that Prince William showed, but make it accessible to our customers." The influence was not limited to high-end fashion houses. Department stores around the world were reporting increased sales in navy blue formal wear. Men who had never paid much attention to fashion were suddenly interested in looking more polished and elegant. Sales assistants were showing customers photos of Prince William's uniform to explain the style they were trying to achieve. Wedding planners were also seeing the impact of the coronation look. Grooms were asking for military-inspired wedding outfits. Even men who had never served in the military wanted to capture some of the dignity and elegance that Prince William had displayed. Wedding dress shops were ordering more formal, military-style outfits for their male customers. Fashion schools were incorporating Prince William's coronation uniform into their curriculum. At the London College of Fashion, Professor Jane Roberts was using the uniform as an example in her classes about ceremonial dress design. This uniform shows students how traditional elements can be updated for modern times, she explained to her fashion design students. Students were analyzing every detail of the uniform for their assignments. They studied the color choices, the fabric selection, the tailoring techniques, and the overall design philosophy. Many final year projects were being inspired by the elements that had made Prince William's appearance so memorable. Social media was still buzzing with content related to the uniform months later. Fashion influencers were creating content about how to achieve similar looks on different budgets. TikTok creators were making videos showing how to add military-inspired elements to regular formal wear. Pinterest was full of boards dedicated to recreating the Prince William Coronation style. The uniform itself had become a tourist attraction. Buckingham Palace announced that it would be displayed in a special exhibition about royal ceremonial dress. Tickets for the exhibition sold out within hours of going on sale. People from around the world wanted to see the uniform that had caused such a sensation. Museum curators were amazed by the public interest in the uniform. The Victoria and Albert Museum in London was planning a larger exhibition about the influence of royal fashion on contemporary design. They wanted to explore how Prince William's coronation look had inspired designers and changed fashion trends. Fashion magazines were still featuring articles about the uniform months after the coronation. Vogue published a special issue about the lasting impact of royal fashion on contemporary style. The cover featured a recreation of Prince William's uniform worn by a professional model. The issue became one of their best-selling editions of the year. Television documentaries were being produced about the cultural impact of the coronation fashion. The BBC commissioned a program called The Uniform That Changed Fashion, which explored how Prince William's appearance had influenced design trends around the world. Fashion historians and industry experts were interviewed about the significance of the moment. The designer who had created the uniform was finally revealed to be Savile Row tailor Jonathan Hartwell. His shop on Savile Row had become famous overnight. The waiting list for appointments at his shop grew to over 2 years. Celebrities and wealthy businessmen from around the world wanted him to create similar uniforms for their special occasions. Jonathan had been working in traditional tailoring for 30 years, but had never experienced anything like the attention his work was receiving. "I designed the uniform to honor tradition, while showing that royal fashion could be contemporary and relevant," he explained in interviews. "I never expected it to have such a wide impact on fashion." His techniques and design philosophy were being studied by other tailors and fashion designers. Fashion schools were inviting him to give lectures about his approach to ceremonial dress design. His work had elevated the profile of traditional British tailoring around the world. The economic impact of Prince William's uniform was significant. Tourism to London increased as people wanted to visit the places where the coronation had taken place. Sales of British-made formal wear increased in international markets. The uniform had become a symbol of British style and craftsmanship. 5 years later, fashion historians were calling Prince William's coronation appearance one of the most influential fashion moments of the decade. It had proven that royal fashion could still capture global attention and influence contemporary trends. The uniform had shown that tradition and modernity could work together to create something truly special. Fashion students were still studying the uniform in design schools around the world. It had become a classic example of how to update traditional ceremonial dress for contemporary audiences. The confident way Prince William had worn the uniform was as important as the design itself in creating its lasting impact. The moment had changed how people thought about formal menswear and ceremonial dress. It had shown that men's fashion could be just as exciting and influential as women's fashion. Prince William had proven that royal fashion still had the power to inspire and influence people around the world. The coronation uniform had become more than just clothing. It had become a symbol of how tradition could evolve and remain relevant in modern times. It represented a new chapter in royal fashion history and proved that the British monarchy could still surprise and delight people. In the digital age,